Okay, good morning, students. Today we get to plan a class party for our history lesson. And you can see I've even got my party shirt on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to decide what we're going to do in this class party. We got to decide what our dress-up theme should be. And you got a choice out of 3 DC superheroes, Marvel superheroes, Star Wars characters. And we have an activity planned, but you have to decide which one you want to do, laser tag, disco, or horse riding. Okay, so let me share my screen and you can annotate on my screen to show just right in the box which one you would prefer. Okay, so please just write your name in the correct spot in whichever one you choose, and yeah, we'll see what everybody wants. All right, thank you for including your choices on our table there. So now everyone's kind of given their vote and decided what they want to do, but we still got a problem because we still have to decide what we're going to do for the party. So I want you guys just to think about different ways that we could make that decision. How could we decide what we're actually going to do? Yes, Bob. Okay, so Bob says maybe Mr. Wild can decide because I'm the most powerful person in the class. I decide what's going to happen. I'll have to organize it, so maybe I should decide. Okay, that's not a bad idea, Bob. Okay, Mo says, well, maybe we should just look at which option the most people chose. And that way we can, at least more people can be happy than not. So we let the majority decide. Not a bad idea, Mo. Okay, Kyle says, maybe we should vote on someone in the class, one of the students, to be able to become like a class president, and then they can decide what we do, and they can also be in charge of organizing it. Okay, and Kaya says, well, maybe just people whose name begins with the letter K should be allowed to decide. I can see your bias there, Kaya, but that's okay. That's not a bad idea. It's worth discussing. Okay, so guys, the reason I'm doing all this and the reason why we're trying to figure out how to make this decision is because actually I'm teaching you about the different types of government. So why have I done this with the class party? Well, because what a government does is a lot like trying to decide what we do for a class party. All right, so for instance, for a dress-up theme, governments have to decide what the laws of the country should be. So just like they might have to decide whether we all have to dress up as DC superheroes or Marvel superheroes. Well, no, they actually have to decide serious laws for the country. Things like, should children be allowed to work? What laws should be passed? What punishment should be given for those laws? Should it be illegal to steal? Should it be illegal to jaywalk? Those sorts of things, serious laws. And for activity, well, just like in a party, we'd have some money and we'd have to decide how we spent that money. Should we spend it on laser tag or horse riding or what? Well, the same goes with governments. They get a lot of money from tax and they have to decide how they spend that money. Should they spend it on housing for people? Should they spend it on building new power plants? Should they spend it on fixing roads? So these are all important decisions that government has to make. It's their job to do this. And the thing that separates different types of government is really how do they make this decision? What do they do to make the final decision? So just like Bob said, well, maybe we should let Mr. Wild decide because he's the most powerful person. He has to organize it all. Well, in the government, we call this a dictatorship or sometimes a monarchy. And so what happens here is one person decides what the government should spend its money on, what the laws should be, for instance. And so we have histories of this type of government. Most countries around the world in the past had a monarchy. We also have dictatorships, such as Hitler was a dictator in Germany. Okay, so the other types, Mo said maybe we should let the majority decide. Okay, so this is a type of government called direct democracy. And direct democracy means the people, when the government needs to make a decision, the people gather together and they take a vote on each decision the government makes. We have examples of this in history. Ancient Athens was a place where they had a direct democracy, and actually Switzerland still to this day has a direct democracy. It's great because most people feel like they're in control of their government and that they get to make the majority is made happy because the majority wins. Okay, and then Kyle suggested maybe we vote in a class president and they decide what we should do. Well, this is called a representational democracy. And representational democracies are what most countries around the world have. We have one in our country. We vote for a political party, and that political party then decides what we're going to do and what decisions should be made. And yeah, and so then Kaya suggested, oh, maybe we should let only people whose name begins with the letter K decide. Well, this is kind of like what we had during apartheid in South Africa. Only white people were allowed to vote for the government, and they got to decide who should make the decisions. Now we can see there's big problems with this form of government because if your name doesn't begin with K, or if you're not a white person, then the government is not going to care about what you want. Okay, and so we can see lots of problems with this. All right, guys. So we are going to I'm going to share my the Teneo course with you right now. All right, so let me just clear my annotates. All right, just so that you can find this page, we are on the home page here, and we're in Module 1, What is a Democracy? And we go to Unit 1, the first drop-down. And I've got a little writing here about what is a monarchy? How does it work? What is a direct democracy? What is a representational democracy? And how did the government work during apartheid as well? A brief description so you can read that in your own time. I've also got a video here which explains how democracy works in South Africa and what it was like during apartheid. And I've got 5 questions here. So please complete these questions and we will go over them at the end of the class. All right. Hope you had a great lesson. See you later.